Well, today's episode is going to be a very interesting one. We're going to review the latest events that came in on the 13th of November, which was yesterday. We have, of course, GCW Wisconsin Death Trip that took place on the 13th, and of course, on that very same day, Circle 6 with Full Circle. As you know, they have done many events throughout their 8-month time period. But of course, we're going to have several death matches, and of course, a world championship match where Acticus Cogar puts his title on the line against his rival Nightwave. However, we also got AEW Dark Elevation. There's some interesting matchups that will take place, and we'll see uh, you know, what matters and what doesn't. And also, we got some news updates that we're definitely going to be talking about what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, let's begin with GCW's latest event on the 13th of November, Wisconsin Death Trip. I'm not sure if this is the first time they've ever been there, but yes. It opened up with Nick Gage coming out to do a little promo. As you know, he likes to do this all the time, so he's not wrestling, but he's there, to be honest. Our opening match, we have, of course, the prodigy Nick Wayne taking on the Spanish sensation Carlos Roma, who we haven't seen for quite some time. I thought this match had a little bit of the, of course, of the cruiserweight type match that we normally see in various promotions, and I thought it was a pretty solid opening. But it was Nick Wayne who picked up the win when he applied the Cloud Cutter. 1, 2, 3, he wins. Next match, we have a three-way match. We got Blake Christian versus Alec Price versus what's his name? Jordan Oliver, young, dumb, and broke. Now, in this particular match, this is a very interesting one. Alec Price, who's been on a tear trying to prove that he doesn't need people to be by his side in order to pick up the win. But he's facing two competitors that have won on very consistently. You got All Heart Blake Christian and young, dumb, and broke Jordan Oliver. However, you probably would have assumed that Alec Price would do everything in his power to win, but in this case, it did not happen that way. They were it was of course they were able to get Christian Blake Christian was able to do the springboard 450 onto Alex Price to pick up the win. And of course, Jordan Oliver has no problem with this because they know they can't stand Alex Price if he wins. Now, our next couple of matches, they're all involved in death matches in every way possible. Our first one, we have Jimmy Lloyd versus Sawyer Wreck. Now, this was a very brutal match because I've seen Jimmy, how he has been in very tough matches, but Sawyer Wreck is like one of those women who we've seen. She can actually bring out everything else. But she was able to pull a choke slam onto Jimmy Lloyd on the tubes to pick up the win. Now, our next match, as I said, is a death match. We have also the GCW World Tag Team titles on the line. Los Macizos, Medio Extremo, and Ciclopse take on the Dysfunctional and Ty Dillinger. Now, as I say before, these type of matches, you know there's going to be a lot of brutality, a lot of bloodshed due to the fact it's a death match involved. But it was, in fact, Ciclopse with the Shining Wizard that sealed the deal, but it wasn't a normal Shining Wizard. He lit his knee on fire to take out, um, Ty Dillinger, and bam! That's how it is. But they were able to put the fire out on his knee. But however, the wrestling ring got caught on fire, and they were able to put it out. So I don't know if that was a dumb move or what, but that is crazy. Now, our next match, we got my boy Hunter Freeman taking on Big Effin' Joe. Now, this is a very good match because, as you know, I known Hunter Freeman because I met him at Level Up many times. He's a good guy. I love the dude. He's pretty awesome. Not to mention, I did mention about his wife in a Level Up show, what she did. But that's another story for another time. But he has stepped up a lot of game with death matches. He's been involved in that a whole lot. So it was great to see him there, but he has to face a guy who's been involved in death matches not only here but in the UK, Big F and Joe. But I think Big F and Joe underestimated Hunter Freeman, but Hunter was able to put him down when he applied his infamous Big Boo, one of the finishers I know he has done in the past because when I attended level ups, that's always been his finisher. But of course, in the end, Big F and Joe gave Hunter Freeman the respect. Probably saw a new up and comer in death matches is what the world needs, and I can remember him for that. Now, our next match, we have a Taipei death match. Now, those who are new probably ask yourselves, what the hell is a Taipei death match? Ever seen the movie Kickboxer with Jean Claude Van Damme? Okay, those who've never seen that movie, let me explain. In this type of match, a fight is where they take it back to the ancient ways. Basically, your hands are wrapped up, but however, your knuckle parts of your wraps they get up with glue, and then what you do, you put your knuckles right onto the glass shards. Basically, you're doing like a fighting, but you have glass shards as your weapon, like boxing. If you ever seen the movie Kickboxer, you know exactly what I mean. Those who haven't, go see the movie and you see exactly what I mean. But however, in this particular match, we have the Southern Psycho taking on John Wayne Murdoch. So I thought this match was great, but however, John Wayne Murdoch was the one who was killing it the most. So Lance Warner, Man, Mance Warner couldn't continue on, so the match had to be stopped due to a lot of blood loss. So it was no shame for Mance Warner. He knew that that John Wayne Murdoch was too much, so it ended in that fashion. Now our main event is a death match. We have Japanese sensation Toshiyuki Takuda taking on Cold Radrick. Now, this is one of those matches where I say Cold Radrick has stepped up a lot well in matches recently. As you know, Nick Gage even gave him his props, knowing that he loved what he saw, that he sees here's this young kid who has stepped up his game, finally moving forward, and I think that's what he liked about him. But it was Cold Radrick with a pinfall onto um, Takuda with when he tried to put him in through the tubes, but it did not went well. But he had to reposition him in order to pick up the win. So it was pretty good. I have to say I like how maybe like 5 matches involve in death matches, and there's like the non-regular ones. It was a pretty good. It makes the statement Wisconsin Death Trip. You don't seems to amaze me on that. So I think that's pretty much it. What we have for GCW. I believe it's time to move on with Circle 6. Okay, Circle 6, Full Circle, also took place in on the 13th of November, but their location was in fact in the Indiana. Now it opened up with Cody Lane taking on what's his name? Brian Kendrick. I thought this match was pretty interesting because there was a little bit of technical aspect by Kendrick to pick up the win. He really was impressive in this match, but Cody, he thought he can outsmart him in every way possible. But Brian Kendrick was able to apply that one move that John Moxley does, the Bulldog, basically giving him the win. So Brian Kendrick picked up a good win in this particular event. Next up, we got Vinny Masario taking on the heavyweight hustle, Calvin Tankman. Now, you know how Vinny Masario is. He is a tough SOB, but Calvin Tankman, he's also a very tough SOB as well. But the real question, who walks out? And I think this was a very intensive match between the two. So it would took a while for one of them to pick up the good win, but it took only a Tankman driver by Calvin Tankman to put away Vinny Masario to pick up a good win. Next up, we got a very interesting 8-man tag match. First team, we have Casey Carrington, ironically, he is the cousin of Atticus Cogar. He teams up with Bastard Cassidy and the Premier, consistent of SK Bishop and Campbell Myers. However, the Premier were wearing shirts that says RSP support. So basically, these guys are seems like they're showing their support for RSP because their opponents is someone who feels that they don't need RSP anymore, and that is 440. Now, let me stop here for everyone to explain what's going on. Ever since then, Ricky Shane Page decided to turn his back, betray Atticus Cogar. However, Atticus Cogar realized now that this whole thing with 440 it's always been about Ricky Shane Page, about what he wants. But Atticus Cogar feels I want to treat everyone equally. I want to treat them like they deserve better. So now this particular match is all about a new beginning. Now that RSP's gone, they even changed their colors gimmick. Instead of light lime green, they went to yellow, and I think it fits them well. So this is more of the new beginning for 440 to try something new, and I think this is the beginning. And of course, it was of what's his name, consistent in this. Now the members involved in 440 in this one is of course Gregory Irons, Eddie Only, Bobby Beverly, and Eric Ryan. So these guys are now trying to prove they can do things better without Ricky Shane Page, RSP, and they did. It was Beverly who picked up the win when he stomped at the back of the head of Casey Carrington to pick up the win and showing the world now that they are here to dominate the entire independent scenes, and that's exactly what they're going to do because the entire time they realized this was always been about Ricky Shane Page, not them as a unit, and I think that's what changed them. So now Atticus Cogar will, I don't know if he will be the leader, but I feel like he's going to lead them to say it's time for us to make our own decisions how we want to go. Our next match, this was a very good one. I have to say this is between two best friends, brothers at arms, members of the Rascals, Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. This is, you would say, it's going to be a banger of a match. And it was. I was so in tune with the match because, in a way, it's like this. Trey Miguel knows what Zachary Wentz is thinking. Zachary Wentz will do the same thing to Trey Miguel. So that kind of goes out back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So the obvious thing does remain who was going to walk out. I would have assumed possibly it was Trey Miguel, but somehow Zachary Wentz was able to go to a different direction and he picked up the win by pinfall onto Trey Miguel and win. So Zachary Wentz pulled off a very impressive match. The next match we have Ace Perry taking on Jay Chris. Now, Ace Perry has made Jay Chris' life a living hell for many times over, tried to prove that he's far more better than him. But because the thing is, Jay Chris's only main weapon that he can do to take out his opponent is the lights out kick. So Ace Perry was able to dodge it, but it took only a moment for Jay Chris to nail him with the lights out, giving him the win. Our next match is ladies action. We got Alex Cromwell versus Zoe Sky. This match, a very brutal match. They even took it outside of the ring, but in this case, it was a suplex by Alex Cromwell to pick up Crowley to pick up the win onto Zoe Starks. Now, this next match, we have, of course, Vincent Nothing taking on Kevin Giza. Now, this rivalry between these two has gone off more and more as possible. Behind this, Vincent felt that he's the one who deserves more opportunities. Kevin Giza doesn't. Giza had an opportunity for the Circle 6 World Title, but Vincent screwed that up for him. But in the process, also screwing up for Atticus Cogar. So this is more like, okay, who's gonna get one of him? But it was Vincent Nothing that picked up the win with the pinfall, trying to prove that he's more deserving than him. Now, Atticus Cogar released a video sending a direct message to Ricky Shane, telling him that 440 are moving on without him. They don't need him. It's time for 440 to move forward to do what they do best, dominating the independents, proving once and for all individually they can take over, but in this process they're willing to go. He explains each member what they are, because he sees, from what Atticus Coger's view, his point of view, he sees Ricky Shane looks at every last one of them as his sidekicks. And I think Atticus Coger is the opposite. He feels I'm treating everyone equally, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. That's exactly what is going to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised when Ricky Shane Page will return to confront Atticus Coger. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow he gets a brand new faction that will side with him. Now, our next match is a 500 carpet strip death match. We have Atticus Coger versus Lucky 13. That match intensified in every way possible. There's a lot of light tubes in place, but in this particular place, Otis Coger was able to pick up the win when he put Lucky 13 in a pile of light tubes to pick up the win. So that was pretty brutal. Now our next match is a Tokyo Towers death match. We have Hoodfoot taking on Dale Patrick. Now Dale Patrick has been making a name of himself in death matches for a while now, but they took out all of the Tokyo Tower light tubes. But Dale Patrick had one left underneath the ring, but it's a huge ass one. Basically, took that helped him to put Hoodfoot down on the ground, and he picked up the win by a pinfall. So Dale Patrick picked up the win. Now our main event is the Circle 6 World Title match. We have, of course, Nate Webb versus Atticus Coger. Now, Nate Webb seems like he had everything under his control, but of course, at certain moments we see that Atticus Coger, who's dubbed as the Silver Tooth Satan, he refuses to stay down. It took at least two brain hemorrhages by Atticus Coger to put away Nate Webb once and for all, that he is still the Circle 6 World Champion. But the obvious question does remain: when will RSP get his ugly face out from his dark hole? We don't know, but we will see up to the upcoming events by Circle 6, and we'll find out from there. So I think that's pretty much it right now. Let's move on with AEW Dark Elevation. Okay, AEW Dark Elevation open up with the Gates of Agony. Toa Leona and Bishop Kong with that Prince Nana taking on Big Kuzo and Teddy Goods. Now, this particular match, is going to fall into favor of the Gates of Agony, since they're two big hombres that will do anything to take out. But it was, of course, a double knee onto the abdomen by Bishop Kong to Kuzo that picked up the win for the Gates of Agony. Next match, we have Ty Mello taking on Paris Van Pal, but you can guess that this match fell into favor of Ty Mello when she applied Ty KO and picked up a good win. Next up, we got Matt Hardy and Private Party, who we haven't seen for quite some time. I was kind of strange that this happened, because they were telling the story that their contracts were picked up by the firm, but we don't know what's going on with that. They take on Kyle Bradley, Smiley Fairchild, and Channing Thomas. This match was pretty good. I think there was a lot of great moments. You saw that now seems Private Party and Matt Hardy are getting along better than they ever were before. But it was the leech by Matt Hardy onto Bradley that picked up the win for his team. Next up, we got uh, Athena taking on Kayla Sparks. Now you can guess this match falls into favor to Athena. As always, when she applies her moves, it took at least a chokehold by her to put away Kayla Sparks. But however, once again, she shows the sign of disrespect by super kicking her opponents after the match. It's probably becoming clear that we will see her as a heel soon enough. Next up, we got tag team action. We got the Butcher and the Blade along with the Bunny to take on Waves and Curls. But Waves and Curls turned their backs for a moment away from Butcher and Blade, and they attacked them from behind, beating the crap out of them in every way possible. But it took more of a big type of a powerbomb type maneuver by the Butcher and the Blade to put away one of the members of Waves and Curls. 1, 2, 3. It was over, baby. Just like that. Next up, the ROH Pure Championship is on the line. We have former NXT superstar Leon Ruffin to take on the champion Daniel Garcia. Now, there was a lot of good moments in this match. Now, Leon Ruffin has shown he is that underdog type of wrestler that we've seen back in the day, but now he takes on a guy who is saying that he's the best technical sports entertainer wrestler, and he did that by, of course, putting the Dragon Sleeper onto Leon Ruffin to pick up the win. Next up, we got Joel taking on 10. Now, keep in mind, 10, as you know, he's still dealing with the whole thing with Jose and Rush, but I wouldn't be surprised if Joel was sent to hurt him, but uh, it was, of course, the disc lariat by 10 to put away Joel. 1, 2, 3, it's over. Our next match, we have Serpentico taking on AR Fox. I have to say this match was very interesting. I'm not sure if AEW are considering recruiting AR Fox because Serpentico lost in this big match, even though Serpentico is the guy who with the bigger contract than RA Fox, but it was a 450 splash by RA Fox that picked up the win. Now our main event, we have Your Royal Highness Emi Sakura and her protege Mei Sugar along with Balin Aki to take on Riho and Willow Nightingale. I have to say this is a good tag match because, as you know, Willow Nightingale is now the newest member of the All Elite roster. I have to say, she really surprised me a lot. Not to mention, she did a pretty good pounce onto Mei Sugar, but it was Riho who picked up the win for her team when she did the running double knees onto Emi Sakura to pick up a good win for them. So, what an amazing moment. I'm sure we can see those two team up down in the future if there ever was a ROH, in a women's tag team title match. But however, Rio has made appearances in Tokyo Pro. It wouldn't surprise me that Willow and Rio will team up there too in that promotion. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's move on with our final thing, news updates. Okay, now welcome to our news updates. British promotion TNT Extreme Wrestling has announced coming for 2023 Big Effie's Big Gay Brunch. Now, if you guys know this, Effie does this events in GCW called Effie's Big Gay Brunch, where there's a lot of wrestlers who are homosexual. They can be who they are, even show their wrestling skills to the world. I did not expect this coming from him to go to UK. As you know, GCW went to Europe and collaborated with TNT, and I think this is going to be interesting to have that particular brand to go into the UK with another promotion to see how that goes. So I'm looking forward to see how that plays out. Now, as you know, for the start of 2023, Prestige Wrestling has announced for their upcoming event, the Vendetta. Apparently, one of their matches have been announced. As you know, Mao from DDT has been signed to appear in this particular match, but his opponent has been announced. It will be none other than Kevin Blackwood. That's going to be a banger of a match. Now, another match has been announced for the GCW Aurora event that will take place this Sunday. We have Second Gear Crew, Matthew Justice, Mance Warner, and Effie to take on John Wayne Murdoch, Sawyer Wreck, and Dark Sheik. This is going to be a lot of fun. Now, finally, our last update. I mentioned this before. Tokyo Comic Con has, as you know, they announced for Stardom to be at their shows. They will have a Stardom match. However, another promotion has announced, and this one's going to be from PPP Tokyo. It's going to be Chanyota taking on Ichika Miyabi. So, as you guys remember, I mentioned Chanyota before. This is a very interesting development for Tokyo Comic Con to bring her to hopefully there's nothing wrong because of what Chanyota went through. As I mentioned, I talked about her that she was banned from ever coming to Stardom thanks to the sponsors that from Stardom and Bushi Road. But hopefully nothing goes wrong in that particular. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. And I think that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everyone enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have, of course, Tuesday Wrestling involving NWA Power, where they will be in aftermath after the Hard Times 3. And then, of course, we got AEW Dark, and we cannot forget NXT, which I'm looking forward to it. If there's any news updates, I will definitely will put that as well. So for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.